Okay, well, the first thing that comes to mind is, boy, a queen on h7 would be checkmate. We'd love to switch the black pawn on h7 with the queen on d2, and it looks like a nice checkmate over here. The problem is it's not legal because both kings are in check. And that's, of course, not a coincidence. Jeff Coakley put the king on c1 and not, let's say, b1, so that you couldn't do this. So that's not the right answer. And that would be too easy. That wouldn't be any fun. So you can't switch that pawn. Well, let's try to get another white piece near the black king. How can I check him? I could check him with a queen or a rook on g7, but it wouldn't be guarded. And I can't switch the queen with that pawn anyway. I can put a knight on e7 and check him. I can switch with the bishop. The problem is I would need another knight on g6 to guard the h8 square, and I don't have it. So if I switch a knight with the bishop on e7, he's in check, but it's not checkmate. If I switch a bishop with this pawn on h7, it's check, but again, it's not checkmate, so that doesn't work. Can I switch a white piece with that rook and check him? Well, I could put a queen or a rook on f8, but he has 4 ways to take it. So that's not going to be checkmate if I switch with the rook. Well, okay, and if I check on f7 with a bishop or a queen or something, he not only can move the king, but he can take me. So it's beginning to look more and more like I'm going to have to switch the black king with something. And when you're going to switch the black king with something, first of all, it can't be a pawn because you can't put a pawn on the 8th rank. Well, let's try switching the black king with another black piece. Let's look around for a black piece that's not a pawn that's attacked by a white piece. Well, the 2 rooks aren't. The queen is not. The bishop's not. The knight's not. The bishop's not. So I can't even switch with another black piece that would even be check, much less checkmate. So we'd have to look at switching it with a white piece. Well, we can't switch it with the knight on c3 because he'd be in double check this way, and that's illegal. In fact, you can't switch it with anything on the 3rd rank, because you can never check someone with a pawn on the 2nd rank. What would the move have been that would check him? So, for instance, let's say you put the bishop on g8 and you put the king on d3. White's last move would have to be c2 check to put him in check to try to checkmate him. And there's no way you can do that. So he can't switch him with the bishop. Let's put the bishop back. If you switch him with the queen, he'll be next to the other king. If you switch him with the rook on d1, he'll be next to the other king. That leaves only the rook on h1 and the knight. If you switch him with the rook on h1, let's try that. It's a weird position, but it's probably legal. Unfortunately, it's not checkmate. The king can go to h2. Almost. Almost. Well, that leaves only one thing, and if there's only one thing left, it's either correct or we didn't do it right. And it's try to switch that black king with the knight on g5. Is that checkmate? Well, it's check, but at first it doesn't look like checkmate. It looks like the black king can come back. But then you say, wait a second, that knight on g8, he's not just switched, he's doing something really important. He's guarding that f6 square. Can black put something in the way on e3 or f4? No. Is it legal? Could white have gotten to this position? Sure, his last move could have been like queen from e2 or f2 to move over to d2 and checkmate him. So it might be a weird position on how to get here. That knight would have had to skip in there from h6 or f6 or e7, but it's legal. I could certainly create a game that would get to this position. You might think some of the moves are a little weird, but that's it. So one of the things I liked about this switcheroo was the fact that putting this knight on this weird g8 square actually was important to help guard the square to make a checkmate. And that's not always easy to see. So when I first did this puzzle, right now the knight's not guarding that square, and it looks like, boy, if I put a king on g4, g5, he can always go to f6. But of course, as we just explained, he can't. So the right answer is to switch the king on g8 with the knight on g5. All right, for ICC and Chess FM, this is Dan Heisman. Hope you enjoyed today's video. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.